Controlling your environment. So if you got to do an interview.
These students are learning how to record audio.
Make sure you did record.
Yes. Test 1, 2, 3.
This gives them the tools to develop their own report or a podcast.
It was a dream of mine to do a podcast, and I had no tools to do it.
Fortunately, she came across an advertisement for this course in the Mohawk newspaper, The Eastern Door. Carol Lalonde is Dakota Sioux from Manitoba, but lives in Montreal.
I grabbed the opportunity, so that's why I'm here.
The course is offered in Kanehsatà to Indigenous people of all ages and from all communities to learn journalism.
Worry about the levels, like where they are.
It's not only for students with no skills, but also for those with experience in the field.
The music that moves me the most,
including Hank McGregor Phillips, who never received formal training despite being hired as a radio DJ in 2011.
They hired me on my voice, so I'm learning everything. I learned everything backwards, so this course really is going to help me with learning the fundamentals of what real certified radio DJs actually do.
The course is more than just teaching students journalism skills. It's also about strengthening Indigenous representation in the profession of journalism, providing opportunities for journalists to understand the historical context of colonialism.
Like a journalist still has to be balanced, right? And still has to tell the correct story. But when you know the background, you can tell it a different way, provide a deeper understanding. What's a good recording level?
Sylvain Gaspé is the instructor for the sound production class.
Get your recording equipment, your mobile recording equipment ready.
He recalls working in media during the 1990 Oka crisis. Or as he calls it, the 1990 uprising at Kanehsatà.
I spent my whole career outside, not in an Indigenous company, but in CBC Radio-Canada, and all my colleagues, and I had to always explain what's the real story.
Gaspé says this was a defining moment in identifying the lack of representation
and this ain't a surrender either.
And understanding of Indigenous people in mainstream media.
When mainstream media and news outlets heard of this event happening, this tragic event, they didn't have any background of who we were, and they didn't even know we were here. So it took a lot of backtracking and research into the history. So some of the good journalists tried to do that, right? But it's always been a struggle.
Here, the square.
At the end of the course, students will do an internship at a media outlet. This could be a local Mohawk outlet or a mainstream media outlet. Developing the course didn't come without its challenges.
Even though they're saying it doesn't apply to Indigenous English communities, well, it's wrong what they're doing to us.
Michelle Lamouche is the manager of the Kanehsatà Employment and Training Service Center. She applied for funding to make the course possible. She says students can't receive their certification until the Quebec government gives written approval as a result of French language law 14.
The government of Quebec say it doesn't apply to Indigenous people, but it does in a sense, because we have to have the permission or the signature of the minister to be able to be offered in English communities.
So you have to ask a question that's open-ended.
For Gaspé, this course is also about uplifting the community.
Kanehsatà was never really in any media. I remember as a young person reading the newspaper, and every time there was something about something local, I would cut it out and save it or something like that. And it was really rare, because once we were in the news, oh wow, we're in the news. You're going to create a high quality recording that meets the criteria.
Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Kanehsatà, Mohawk Territory.